Okay, I know I just said I was done talking about heads for a while in my previous video, but then this fan art of Frieren started doing the rounds on social media like a week ago, and everyone thought it was funny, and it turned into a meme, and now I have to capitalize on it like the good little content whore that I am. Dance, monkey, dance! Dance for the algorithm! Also, fun fact, apparently the post that went viral on Twitter is not the original poster, as that privilege goes to Reddit user SpaceDev1. Normally I would get permission before publicly critiquing someone else's work, but from the looks of the comments section, this person posted this with the intent of getting feedback anyways, so I'll take that as a go-ahead. I'm going to be making some notes over top of this ravishing drawing before moving on to a time-lapse of my interpretation, which will provide a good opportunity to talk about drawing things in perspective. So, first of all, props to SpaceDev1 for taking a crack at what is quite possibly one of the most difficult angles to draw from, which is a low angle, because not only do we have to keep in mind some anatomical things when drawing the head from this angle, but we're also having to deal with three-point perspective, which means that we have, not only do we have vanishing points from the left and the right, but we also have one coming down from above, which can get rather complex. But if we were to take things one step at a time, firstly to address the anatomical issues here, I can see that the facial features are rather squished. Everything's kind of getting forced into this corner here, and so we've ended up with this rather small looking face. So I think first order of business would be to spread out these facial features more. I mean, this is just a quick mock-up here, but it would look something like this. And as you can see, the chin is rather high as well, because it's actually the end of it is placed around where the mouth should be. So we're going to move that down a bit as well, and it would be something like this. And the other issue here is that I'm not seeing enough of a plane change where the jaw connects with the neck, so it looks a bit rubbery, right? There's not enough of a distinction between those planes, so that would be something else to keep in mind when I do my own version of this. And I actually just talked about this triangular shape of the bottom of the jaw in my previous video, so this would be a good opportunity to make use of that knowledge. And the other thing is the ear. Quite a common mistake, actually, when drawing the head, either from a top view looking down or low angle looking up, is a lot of artists will try and keep the ears at the same level as it would be from like a straight on view, which is incorrect, because if we're looking at it from a low angle, the ear would actually be, it's a rather large ear, would actually be a lot lower down on the head. And actually an illustration that comes to mind is from Steven Silver's book on character design. I'll put that up somewhere on the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. But the ears act as a good anchor point for the rest of the features as well, because as the facial features move up, the ears are actually going to move down and or appear to be lower down on the head, and it's going to be the opposite from a top view. right? As the facial features move down, the ears are actually going to move upwards on the head. So that would be something else to keep in mind. But that, I think, about covers the anatomy of what we're looking at. But as I mentioned, there is the perspective to keep in mind as well. So we're going to want to keep this sort of perspective grid in mind, or I will want to keep that in mind when I draw the rest of this figure. We may want to have the shoulders in there as well, and this is, you know, approximately what the end result will be. But thanks again to Space Dev. Keep up the good work, and I'm going to be taking the reins from here and see what we end up with.
I've grabbed this screen cap of Frieren from the manga to use as reference, the artist being Tsukasa Abe, as it's already pretty close to the angle that we want. So let's jump right in with the rough sketch. As you can see, I've very lightly sketched a box around the head to keep things looking three-dimensional, which will inform the perspective for the rest of the drawing as well. As said, there are 3 vanishing points to keep track of, as the one coming down from the top is what makes things appear slightly larger near the bottom of the frame. This rough stage isn't supposed to look pretty, it just acts as a blueprint that'll guide me along once I move on to putting down the darker lines. And here's where I start cleaning everything up. Even I had trouble with this angle, admittedly, so I do take advantage of the lasso and transform tools, which you'll notice me doing throughout for the sake of nudging things over here and there. This would be a good place to point out that because we're looking at the subject from below, we're going to see not only the bottom plane of the jaw, but also the nose, and even underneath the lips, despite not being as noticeable. We want to make sure that the ellipses of her collar are in the same perspective as everything else. This is actually the first time I've ever drawn a character with those large Yoda ears, so I needed to look up PhotoRef for that as well. I think I still drew them pointing out a little too much, as they should be closer to the sides of the head, but again, the ears were a first for me, so cut me some slack. And then I move on to the shoulders. I could have maybe had her shoulders slope down a bit more, which would make her look less stiff. I also got lazy with the pigtails and opted to just draw the one closest to us and leave the other one behind her shoulder. Out of all of her features, I think I struggled with her hair the most. I wasn't very satisfied with it by the end, and you'll see me go back and try to correct it a couple of times. The hair still looks a bit flat by the end, but I got the face to look the way I wanted it to, which is the important part. And I almost forgot about the earrings, which would have been disastrous. Gotta make sure to include those. I thought the very bottom of the drawing looked rather ugly, so I just cropped it out. And I add a bit of color to her earrings, because why not, fill everything in, and make a few final adjustments. My drawing may be a little more structural, but I gotta say, it's not nearly as iconic. As usual, thanks for watching, and feel free to watch all of my other videos. I'll even let you watch each of them multiple times, because I'm nice like that.